The last race in Nashville was one to remember for Joey Logano. While he did manage to win the race, he did have a few speed bumps as well. The race was nothing if not incident-filled. During one of the many race restarts, Logano became furious with Denny Hamlin and showed him the finger. On lap 123, the drivers were preparing for a restart, where Logano found himself right behind Hamlin. Although there was no major incident, Hamlin avoided another driver and almost pushed Logano out of the race. At the time, Logano did not notice the other driver beside Hamlin. This caused him to put the blame on the number 11 and give him the finger. He then came onto the radio to threaten Hamlin. "He's got one coming. Frickin' drives through me into turn 1. Where's he going?" While he was a bit tense after the incident, his spotter told him that there were other cars involved and it was not his fault. Thanks to the quick reflexes of Logano and Denny Hamlin, there was no accident. And thanks to us, you'll be kept updated on the latest news on NASCAR. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and let us do the work for you. Throughout the race, it looked as though the race win was between Hamlin and Kyle Larson. However, things took a very unexpected turn when the race continued for 5 overtimes. In NASCAR, if there's a caution thrown with just 2 laps to go, the race goes into overtime, where the drivers will have an additional 2 laps of racing once the caution is removed. But in Nashville, whenever the caution came off, there was another accident forcing the race to go into caution once again. Due to this, fuel became a problem. During one of the restarts, Kyle Larson, who was in the first row alongside Denny Hamlin, ran out of fuel. After this, Hamlin had no choice but to pit as he was running out of fuel as well. But Logano had stayed out as he had just enough fuel for the end of the race. As a result, he went on to win the race. "We survived them all, you know. We didn't get the restarts I wanted each time, but just didn't have enough fuel in the tank. So a bunch of us were in that same boat. I was 15 seconds away from the win on lots of Hendrick spun, and then 10 seconds away on the few cautions after that. I knew once they started one, it was going to be lots of them, just the way that we were all going into turn 1 and everyone sliding and beating and banging. I knew that. We're cooked. I thought we were cooked," Hamlin added. While Hamlin had to settle for a 12th place finish, Logano won the race. This marked Joey Logano's first regular series win of the season. His other win came during the All-Star race, which is not part of the regular season. After bringing his car to victory lane, he was more than relieved. "So proud of the Shell Penzo Mustang team. It's been a stressful few weeks trying to get into the playoffs, and being able to win here is this huge for our season. So felt great to get that. So much pressure. To try to make the playoffs is not easy these days of these next-gen cars, and it was so equally matched. I've made a lot of mistakes, even some today, and it's nice to be able to overcome them. So I think Shell and Pennzoil, Ford, everyone to help support us all the way through Coca-Cola. This is just a much-needed win for sure." Fans were rather shocked at how Logano was able to stay out without pitting for fuel. After the race, fans took to social media to express their disbelief in Logano's fuel tank. "Inspect that fuel tank now. No way, that tank is illegal. They need to check that fuel tank. Also, how did he have enough to do burnouts? Cheating. You know it, I know it, we all know it. I'm sorry, but no way he should have had fuel left." After his race win, the near miss with Denny Hamlin was all forgotten. He was more focused on continuing this form for the rest of the season. The start of the 2024 season was not the one Penske hoped for. None of the Ford cars were able to win a race until we neared the All-Star break. However, things seemed to have turned around for them. From the start of the season, all the teams running Ford cars were suffering due to the new regulations. The next-gen cars, which were introduced in 2022, have been designed to generate a lot more downforce than before. The Ford manufacturers have not been able to capitalize on this regulation change. But now that they have, it has allowed drivers like Joey Logano to start battling for race wins. Until the last race, Logano was not yet eligible for the playoffs. Denny Hamlin, on the other hand, has already won 3 races this season. Hence, Logano had a lot more to lose than Hamlin. This was one of the main reasons the number 22 driver was furious after Hamlin almost wrecked his race. Both Logano and Hamlin are not exactly new at battling against each other. The rivalry between Logano and Hamlin traces its roots back to the early 2010s, when Logano, who came in as a young prodigy, burst onto the scene in NASCAR's top-tier series. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin, already an established figure and proven race winner, found himself challenged by the up-and-coming Logano. Their paths crossed frequently on the track, leading to competitive duels and occasional clashes of egos. Like many NASCAR rivalries, Logano and Hamlin's has been punctuated by notable on-track incidents that fueled the fire of animosity between the two drivers. One of the most infamous moments came in 2013 at Auto Club Speedway, where a fierce battle for the lead culminated in a high-speed collision, sending Hamlin into the wall and resulting in a back injury that sidelined him for several races. This incident escalated tensions between the drivers and their respective teams, sparking a public feud that only intensified over time. And of course, who can forget the huge fight they had at Martinsville in 2019? During the 2019 first date of 500 at Martinsville, Logano and Hamlin found themselves battling for position in the closing laps of the race. As they jockeyed for position in the tight confines of Martinsville's narrow track, their rivalry reached a boiling point. With just a handful of laps remaining, Logano made a decisive move to pass Hamlin, resulting in contact between their cars. The contact sent Hamlin spinning and ultimately led to a heated exchange of words between the drivers of the race. Both Hamlin and Logano threw fists at each other while being held back by their crew members. Beyond the racetrack, Logano and Hamlin have been engaged in verbal sparring through media interviews and social media exchanges, further cementing their rivalry in the eyes of fans and the NASCAR community. Both drivers have been candid about their competitive nature and their desire to outperform each other, which has added a personal dimension to their on-track battles. The rivalry between Logano and Hamlin has not been confined to individual races. It has also played out during NASCAR's playoffs and championship battles. Both drivers have been contenders for the NASCAR Cup Series championship multiple times, even finding themselves in direct competition for the coveted title. Their clashes on the track have had championship implications, making each race between them a crucial chapter in their ongoing rivalry. However, over time, the two drivers have come to respect each other on and off the track. Despite their intense rivalry, both Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin have acknowledged a level of mutual respect for each other's talents and achievements. As their careers have progressed, they have come to appreciate the competitive challenge that the other presents, acknowledging that their battles have pushed each of them to elevate their performance on the racetrack. Joey Logano has won 2 Cup Series championships. Hamlin, on the other hand, has not won any, but is considered to be one of the best drivers on the grid today for his level of consistency. At the moment, both drivers are still competing at a very high level. Given that Logano has qualified for the playoffs as well, he will be facing against Denny Hamlin for the championship title. The only question is whether he can go all the way. Although Penske has made some progress since the season started, fans still don't think Ford has done enough to start winning races on a more consistent basis. In fact, during the last race in Nashville, Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson would have probably won the race if they hadn't had a fuel shortage. As mentioned before, Larson's car completely ran out of fuel, while Hamlin had to pit to refuel his car and drop down to 12th in doing so. It'll be interesting to see how Logano approaches the upcoming races of the season. Will he and Penske still be contenders for winning every race? Or is this a temporary setback for Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.